Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back. So I went into Long and McQuaid today, picked up a Vox tube amp. This is the AC10C1 10 watt 10 inch speaker. Pretty cool little amp actually for an all tuber, and it has all the features that I would want. So it's got a master gain, a volume, bass and treble, and reverb. Yes, no mid-range. Anyway, so I've been looking at tube amps. People have been bugging me to get a tube amp, and I've been kind of like, yeah, it's expensive for tube maintenance though, you know. And I've looked at a lot of options. I was even actually looking at a Marshall mini stack today, but that was solid state. But I decided, you know what, I don't need another amp with any modeling effects in it. I don't want something with a gain. I just like distortion gain. I just want pure, clean, unadulterated, clean tone in a tube amp. And it'll have its own natural overdrive when I crank it. And you know, 10 watts is an amazing amount of power. People have no clue when it comes to wattage. I can power soak my Boss Katana 100 watt amp down to half a watt, and it's still loud. You know, this is 10 watts, and it's tube. It's pure tube, so it's not a hybrid amp. Okay, I've actually played on some hybrids, and yeah. And I looked at a few other Vox amps, but they're all modeling amps. And it's like, I don't want a modeling amp. You know, part of the reason why I bought the Boss Katana, it's not a modeling amp. It has all 55 or whatever it is Boss effects built in, but it's not a modeling amp. It's not trying to pretend to be something else, like my Roland Cube 60, for example. It's kind of a modeling amp. It has a few things in it. But I thought, you know, I kind of like Vox. I tried out my buddy's Vox amp, and it had a tube in it, but the rest solid state. So basically your hybrid, right? But it's modeling amp, and you know, it's kind of like, if you're gonna go tube, you go all the way, right? And I wanted clean power for doing super clean stuff, and this is definitely going to do the trick for me. And so anyways, my wife will give her opinion. She's in here sitting down, so she'll probably give her 2 cents in on what she thinks of this too. So I grabbed my my new Les Paul Studio that I picked up recently too. Figured we'll try that one first, and then we'll try out the Strat with the Alnico 4s in it and see what it sounds like too. So we'll start out on the bridge, and the volume's down really low, otherwise it overblasts my mic even from being like, you know, 8 feet away. Got the reverb set at 11, bass and treble at 12, and the gain is at maybe, I don't know, 7 o'clock, if that. So it's down pretty low. I think we can add a little bit more punch. Too much punch. That's the problem. Too much. No, now we're at not enough. Let me turn the gain down on my mic here. So my voice is going to probably go down a bit, but the rest of it should be okay. Seems to be a bit better. So that's our bridge, so we'll go both pickups. Pushing those meters a bit in places. Okay, neck pickup. I'm going to turn that down a little bit on the gain. We'll give this one more go. I want to give it a really fair sound test here. Back to the bridge. pushing the meters, but there's not much I can do about it. I turn the gain down any lower on my mic and we're not going to hear anything. So anyways, that's the Les Paul. Gotta love humbuckers. I got really super high output. So we are going to switch over to the Strat. Now you'll see that there's a mic in front of my amp, but that microphone is not activated. It is turned off. It's running through the sound system, but it's turned off. I tried miking it up earlier, and it sounded actually really good going through the PA, even with the volume here down low, and going through the PA. The mic picks it up great, and I'm using SM58 microphones. Alright, so let's see what we can do with a Strat. Probably going to have to turn the volume up. Yeah. Volume up a little more on the amp. That was the bridge, so bridge in the middle. Pickup. Middle and neck. That really pushes the meters. God. I'll have to strum really light for this one. Anyways, we're pushing the meter, so if you hear a bit of breakup, it's because I can't turn the gain down any lower on the mic, or you're not even going to hear me. And I got to watch the volume on the amp because, yeah, it really is putting it out. And it's about 8 feet, the amp's about 8 feet away from my microphone. It's like, wow, you know, that's pretty good sound projection. You know, that's got a 10-inch speaker in her, too. Now, if I was playing in here and just practicing, of course, I'd have this up a lot louder type of thing, and who cares, no big deal. Wouldn't matter one bit. And if I was miking it up into my PA, I could turn this thing up even louder if I wanted to and not have any needles pinned because it would be going through my PA system at that point, so I have total control over it then. But I didn't want to do any kind of 16 to 24-bit conversion audio stuff because that kind of masks a lot of sound on recordings. So I figured, you know, the purest source we're going to get is I've got an Apex 555 microphone that sits on my computer table, and you know, from being, like I said, about 8 feet away, I mean, you know, that's pretty decent. I've got the gain turned really low on that mic. So now, personally, I think it sounds really good on the Les Paul and on the Strat. I still have to go through my Cort, my Epiphone SG, my other Strat, my Tele, and see what it's like on them. Now, this is a guitar amp, so it's not for a bass guitar. It's for a regular guitar, so you don't plug a bass in it unless you want to blow stuff up. And of course, no acoustic guitar inputs. But I can get an acoustic simulator if I want and do it that way through this amp if I really wanted a nice, pure, clean acoustic sound. Otherwise, I can just use my Vox AC10C1 amp for that anyways, because it's got an acoustic sim built in, and so does my Cube, so whoopee, you know? But for doing stuff that I want really super clean, this is actually a pretty nice amp. And it does throw a lot of bass out, which was another prerequisite of getting a tube amp, you know. And because I've looked at Fender amps, I really don't like Fender amps. They don't throw out enough bass. They put out way too much treble for me. And the volume controls are so damn sensitive. I played on a Princeton amp. If you know the Princeton Reverb, it's got the blue case on that amp. I mean, even in the music store, I turned that thing up to 1 and it was obnoxious. And I mean, every Fender amp I've owned, except for the Mustang, of course, that was a little different beast, though. It was actually not a bad amp. But any other Fender amps other than the Mustang, I found that the volume was way overly sensitive. You were, you know, basically topped out before you even got to 5, you know, for power. And it's like, at that point, it's gibby gerbil, you know. But like I said, for a tube amp, I wanted 1 channel only, which is what the Vox AC10 offers, and this is the C1. It's got just bass and treble, which is what I like. I don't care for mid-range frequencies anyways. They're a pain in the ass. You know, it has its own natural way of doing things. So it's probably about the cleanest setup for a tube amp without getting rid of that gain knob. You know, and the gain just gives you a little bit more control between it and the master volume for just a little bit of tweaking, so that you can turn the volume up higher, turn the gain down lower, and you can alter your tone a bit and get a natural overdriven sound that sounds really good, you know. But even if it had just a straight volume knob, it would be just fine too, you know. And it does have reverb, and I do have the reverb at around 11 o'clock, and it's got a nice reverb. So it's nice to have a little bit of reverb in there, and it does work well. So so far I'm happy with this thing. You know, I'm thinking, you know, I'm gonna pull the plug on this one, and but I did get it on loan for a few days to try it out in my studio with my equipment. Because if you're a guitar player, you better be picky. You know, don't rely on the sound of something solely that you try out in a store. It doesn't always work for you in the end in your own environment, right? And that was something that I'm picky on, because I've also got the studio in here for recording. I want a good amp that's going to record well too, which will be another test I'll be doing as well in the next couple of days, seeing how well it actually does record. I have tried miking it up, and it mics up really well with my Shure SM58 mic. Pretty impressed with it, and I don't even have the volume slider up that loud on it, and it's pretty loud even through my main speakers. So, and that's even with the volume low at this end, because you don't need the volume that high anyways when you're miking any amp up, even on stage. So, but I'm not ready to do a review at this point in time. But I can tell you that the amp does cost $600 Canadian at Long & McQuaid. Great place to deal. I deal there all the time. It's my candy store, my addiction store, my disease store, whatever you want to call this thing, gear acquisition syndrome. But good thing they don't have AA yet for guitar players, or we'd all be in trouble, because we won't quit. But like I said, I got to try it out on some other guitars. But what do you think of it, Sue?
I don't know how it comes across on the video, but in here it sounds awesome. I like the sound. It's clean. It is.
Yeah, it's definitely for
and
two.
it's got the range.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's got range
for
to
what
it.
you're playing on.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and for 10 watts of juice, that is, I think it's really underrated, to be honest, because yeah, I've had 10 watt amps before, and you know, I had this thing with the gain and the master volume in the store at half blast, playing on a Godin session, and I was quite impressed. And I was like, I gotta try this thing at home and see what it's like on my own guitars, you know, and because all pickups are different, all guitars are different, you know. So, but so far on the Strat and on the Les Paul, I like it. So now it's just to rifle through the rest of the guitars and see what I think that way. Yeah, so let me know what you guys think so far. If there is a bit of overdriven sound, it's because of the mic, with the fact of having to alter the volume control, and I'm trying to get a good sound through at the same time, and that's a little challenging. Now, the other thing I'll mention about this amp too is it does have a cab out jack, so you can go to an external cab with this, and maybe really shake the house with a 4x12 on it. I would, but no headphone jack, no modeling features whatsoever, and of course no PA out or line out system. So you're gonna have to mic it up if you want to go through a PA, and no auxiliary import garbage either. So that's kind of nice. It's a pure tube amp, and it's a pure amp period. And I've been looking at the Hughes and Kettner, and I looked at it again today while I was in there. They actually had the 20-watt version in there, which was like 8 something, and I'm like, and that's just the head. You still got to spend another $500 on a speaker, And I'm thinking, for how often I'm going to use a tube amp, I can justify 600, but I can't justify much more than that. I was even looking at a Marshall amp I was getting attached to. There was a tube amp, and it was like $850, and I'm like, but the thing is, I don't want all the extra garbage in there. I don't want a modeling amp, right? I want just pure amp for a tube amp, because I think that's the best way to go. And this thing, so far, is fitting the bill quite nice. So we shall stay tuned for more. You will see more of this amp, I'm sure. And we'll continue on. So thanks for watching, guys. Like I said, let me know what you think about it. My wife seems to like it. She plays guitar too, just acoustic. But and she's still learning. But I'm kind of liking this thing so far. And in my environment, which is a big thing. It's in my environment. And I'm liking it in here. It's sounding good. So there you go. Anyways, thanks. Catch you on the next one.